go well. If we don't,
I need you, please. I need you on my side here. Trey, please join us.
Between having a legitimate conversation about retardation and dressing someone up in a fucking.
First of all, that word, we can't use that word apparently.
well,
that's a common joke.
We have to use mentally disabled or something like that.
That's so many syllables.
I know it is. It's harder. But you can't use that word. I'm not even going to say it.
Then what you're going to have people doing is saying those, trying to get around it by them or those people. Now we've just like turned them into.
We gotta figure out a new word because you can't just.
We gotta figure out a new word. What's a good word?
Yeah. I don't know, but like something.
Trey, Trey? We need you to help us find out a new word for retards.
You can't say it, man.
For Trey.
The medical
disabled,
mentally disabled. That's what they say.
Fewer syllables.
Yeah.
Special.
That's no.
That's special. Could be other things too.
Too broad. Like that's not.
Yeah, too broad. Exactly.
Yeah.
challenge.
Riri.
Too many syllables again.
Tard.
Well, like okay, no, don't no, that's bad. The first like the original. Okay. All right, so the history of the word is basically people were calling people with mental disorders, they were calling them morons or all kinds of other stuff. And so the medical term came in, mental retardation, right? That was the medical term of the time. And now that's become a faux pas. Like you can't say mentally retarded. But it used to be mental retardation. That was the thing. And it actually comes from French, en retard. Retard means late, like late developer.
See, this kind of discussion is a lot better for your point, I think, than the other one.
Okay, well, look, we can figure out what to name it. Like that feels like a closing thing. Like we should figure out, like as we sift this out, a better name will surface. But we got to figure out what we're dealing with. So let's start with.
But like, I have no problem with the actual name. It's just it's become bad because people have like used it to refer to other people. Like
I started the streaming, so if you want to just jump in, are we waiting for Damon to get his fucking hat on?
I don't have a hat, but let me do this.
Oh come on! Are you seriously doing this?
Hey, Trey, go get like a fucking a soup pan out of the kitchen. Put that on his fucking head.
You can't be serious.
It just needs to be something hard and protective in case he falls out of his chair.
Bad, guys. This is like.
Let's do it this way. Let's let Binyamin explain what happened, and let's challenge the notion that it's petty by working on definitions and explaining how he contradicts himself.
I honestly don't think it's too petty. Like, okay, so here's what happened, basically. Ben Vaserlan is blocking people who use the word. And I understand why, right?
Regardless of regardless, nothing. If you use the word, you're blocked, banned permanently. He doesn't accept apologies. He doesn't, yeah.
Well, I thought he accepted my apology. Like, I really apologized after I used the word. But I thought he accepted it, and he blocked me anyways. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe it might just be a temporary thing. I don't know. But anyways, so I understand why. He has a sister who is autistic. That's not the same thing at all. But I guess like when they were growing up, people were using that word to talk about his sister. And so he's got like all these negative SI, because he's alpha quadra, right? So he's using SI. So he's got all these negative SI connotations around that word, right? So that's kind of why it's a sensitive word for him. But anyways, I was using it like in the proper way. Okay. Dude. He hates the word. He doesn't hate.
Oh, you think that's misleading?
Yes.
You don't think people will know what? Okay, here, I'll figure it.
Add an S.
You can't do that. No, don't add an S. The word.
I haven't done banners on.
I wouldn't even put the word there, man.
Keep going. Okay, you know what? I'll fix it. Keep going.
All right. Anyways, so we were talking about Syllogism or something like that. Do you know what that is?
No.
Let me look it up. Syllogism. I don't know. Okay, yeah. So basically, yeah, I think it's syllogism. So he was talking about that, and he gave an example of all men are created equal as a syllogism. And it's something that's not literally true, but it's figuratively true, right? So like all men are created equal. Well, and so I said, oh yeah, I get why that's a. I think the word was syllogism. Anyway, I get why that's a syllogism because like, all right, morally all men are created equal, but there are people out there with, and I use the word mental retardation, and people that are midgets. I shouldn't have said midgets either. Apparently, it's dwarfism or little people.
What? Keep going. Keep moving on past that.
So that was my logic. It was just a logical, like, it was saying that not all men are created equal, right? Literally, like some person was born without an arm or with like 6 toes or whatever. So not everyone is equal, right? Literally,
yeah. And even like I'm not equal to myself from time to time.
Sure.
So that concept of literal equality doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. So literal. So that was just what I was saying. And so I guess I used the word in the right way, right? But I still use the word. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was his issue. And then like I realized, I saw right away, like his face went blank. Like he was really, really affected by me using that word. And I apologized. Like I really apologized. And I thought he forgave me, but I was blocked. And so when did you use the word? How did you use it, Taylor?
Me? I used it sort of flippantly. I said, I was talking to him in sauna, and I made some sort of flippant remark because in context of it's some sort of sarcastic or joke about me being a censor, and then I said intuitards. I didn't say retard. I said intuitards.
Right.
In that context, and and the video chat that the three of us were on, he just was gone. And Son and I kept talking because we figured like he got disconnected or something. He'd be right back. And after a few minutes, I was like, I want to check on him. So I got on Messenger, sent him a message like, you cannot respond to this. Like, oh, Sana, he blocked me.
Yeah.
So I was the first one I know of to get blocked and banned and canceled by Ben, silenced.
Right.
And then after me, it was Damon, then Kat.
What did Damon do? Or do you even know?
What did Damon do?
He's gone. He's not even here.
I don't remember.
No, he's there.
No, he just went to the other room.
Oh.
He went to find his saucepan or whatever.
Is he coming back, or did he just like leave?
No, he's come back.
Okay, I'll let him tell his story because I don't remember exactly. But so he blocked me, then Damon, then Kat. He may have blocked Kat and Trey at the same time. Trey just noticed. Kat would notice, the minute she got banned by somebody, and Trey would never notice until I tell him to go check it.
Maybe he blocked them by association or something. Nice new mic, by the way.
Thank you.
On that, yeah. When did that come in?
A minute ago. I got it from Andy.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah. So and then you're the latest victim in
I like he's not he's anti-word, not
Look, I don't know how else to explain this so you think people will understand. Like, our viewers aren't retarded.
He's not against people with mental disabilities. He's against using the word.
Well, I don't know how to explain this in words in a way that you think that people will understand. Ben hates retarded. He loves mentally disabled.
We're live, aren't we?
It's going to a unlisted. Nobody's watching this. It's just real. I'm using it as a recorder.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Supposedly this is going to get edited, but I doubt.
I mean, if we're just going to see where it goes, I think we've got a good discussion, and from my understanding, we've all got a lot of solid points. Only Trey doesn't think that retards should be acknowledged, really, publicly. But
what are you saying, Trey?
They're with us, and we need to talk about it.
What are you saying? Should we even do this video?
Should we even have
retards? Bad idea. I got ninja'd into this, by the way. I just got
Trey.
invited. I'm like, what are we talking about?
I think having an open dialogue about the sensitivity surrounding the word is good. I don't really
Yeah.
think the initial.
Do you think that Ben is being retarded?
No, no, probably not. I think he's being a little bit ridiculous. Definitely.
Do you think he got sand in his vagina?
I mean, you're gonna give me all these different ways of saying it. That's not quite.
I mean, then you need to fill this void in how we define it, because I'm going to keep defining it for you, and you're probably going to get less and less agreeable to the way I define it.
Okay. So, I think that I don't know. I think that he's sensitive to it, but I think it's a little bit ridiculous to put such a standard on people. Like, we get that you're sensitive to the word, but it's not necessarily like a bad word to use, I guess. So
Well, maybe in England it is or something. Like I saw that it was termed, like deemed a bad word to use. Like even though originally it was supposed to replace bad words, it became a bad word.
I mean, that's the nature of words, though. That's how language
true.
works. Anything that can be used derogatorily, that word keeps evolving. Like homosexual, that's gone through a million different versions. It's going to keep rolling.
Right.
I'm gonna change my
And I mean, I don't understand what how do I phrase this this question articulately? I'm just gonna leave it alone. Ben, you've thought about this a little more. Trey, you like retards just living in the shadows over there. You don't want to discuss this really. You're discussing it hesitantly. Have you thought about how we should define it?
How we should define what?
The retard problem of you not wanting to talk about them.
Word that we can actually use.
Yeah. What should we call them?
So are we referring to the medical term or people who aren't clearly thinking through what they're doing?
Since the word retard has become basically derogatory or taboo, I think we need a new thing to call retarded people. So
Okay.
Trey,
Actually retarded people were people that are just
yeah. You know what? Let's call them sock until you come up with something better. So we'll just use sock as filler. So if I say sock, that's retarded people.
Okay.
Retarded people are socks.
So let me ask you questions about socks. Do they actually have?
How are you keeping a straight face, man? Don't you see what he's doing? Like I can totally see what he's doing.
What?
Trey's just keeping a straight face. He doesn't see it. All right.
I don't know what you think you're saying, but Trey's trying to answer my question.
Yeah, I'm just going along with this thing because otherwise you can interject. So this is how I get a conversation with them. So this is how it's got to be done, right? So with socks, right? Is a sock someone who has an actual mental challenge, or is it just someone who isn't lucidly giving attention to a topic or to something they're doing?
So that's the problem. So you need to use the word properly, right? If you call everybody a sock, right? You call everyone a sock. Then, like, anytime someone does something stupid, you call them a sock. Then you're misusing the word. Like, you're using it in a negative way. You're insulting people with that word, right? Whereas if it's like just condition and you're respecting the word, hey, these people actually have a serious condition, let's use the word respectfully only to refer to them and not in a negative context. Like, it's just, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, that's the wrong way to use it, to go and call other people socks. But like, if you are just to call actual people who are socks in a respectful way, oh, he's a sock, that's why he's acting like that. Let's, help him out. Or let's have a school for socks.
But do you think that sock is even a term that's really used anymore, though? You know what I mean? Like,
sock?
I feel like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people are mentally challenged.
And
I think it's still, I don't know.
I think it is too, but none of us are in, sock industries or, like I'm not interactive with the sock community, and they're not the type of people that get out and about a lot. I don't roll up on a bunch of socks at the gas station, so who would know about socks?
You're just blowing my mind by putting this title down there.
Well, I mean, if somebody watches this and they hear us saying socks and maybe they missed why we're saying socks, they need to know what we're talking about.
Oh my God.
I see your logic there. You're protected by your logic. Good job, man.
is creative TI.
Correctly. Are you saying that typically the people you're calling socks are don't necessarily mind it?
Typically, we don't drive cars, so it's not like I can.
Let me ask my question. Are you saying that the people you're referring to as socks, are you saying that they're less defensive over that title than like maybe somebody who's just defending them because they think that it's hurtful?
Okay, now I don't know. I don't know for sure because I don't know many socks. Now I do know. What should we call black people? I do know W2s. I do know W2s, and they don't get really worked up about. No, that's a bad example. They do get worked up. Transgenders. Let's call them lighters. Now, the flamers. They don't really get worked up about pronouns. The ones I know, like the social justice warriors do, and that's the damn truth. I only know 2 full-blown trannies or flamers, lighters, but neither one of them gets bent out of shape about this word stuff. But who would know socks? Who do we know?
Maybe if they're alpha quadra, they would be,
because they're socks.
Maybe if you were maybe SI. It's an SI thing, man.
You're not even talking about retarded people or mentally challenged people. You're just talking about how words have negative connotations to them, just like in and of themselves, regardless.
I want to know if real sock people are really offended by the word sock, or if it's something that just little whiny bitches like Ben.
Okay, like it's a spectrum, right? Some of them are really heavily affected.
Some of them
they wouldn't even know what you're saying to them, right?
Right. Yes.
Some of them
they don't know stuff.
Are a little better, and they hate that word. I had a buddy in school. He had
some of them are really strong.
Yeah. This guy was. So he had a thing with his throat where he had to have his throat pierced to save his life or something. And he would talk like really funny because of it. And he hated that word. He would just rage out, go full Hulk on anyone who used that word. Like
they're dangerous people.
Don't use that word next to him.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. But he wasn't one, but he would get offended by it when people would call him that.
Huh. Trey, thoughts?
I don't have anything to say right here.
You know what? I could text CS Joseph. He might have more insight than we do on actual socks, on being a sock.
He probably thinks he does, yeah.
Well, we're at stalemate. Where the fuck is Damon? He needs to tell us what happened.
He's doing something else.
He just
left. He's like, fuck this whole video.
I don't want to be associated with this. I shouldn't have. You ninja'd me here.
Okay. Well, my understanding of what happened, and I was just looking to see if Kat's on because she'd know better than me too. My understanding is that Ben wanted to talk shit on. Ben didn't like the socionics masterclass that we're putting up because he doesn't think that anybody should be positioned as an authority because it's, I don't know, for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, he did mention that actually.
Except for Victor Galenko, whose asshole he will lick until it's clean. But what did he mention? Because I haven't seen anything. I'm just sort of.
No, he mentioned the whole thing about the masterclass, how it's ridiculous. It's basically like you take one class and you're called a master or something. It doesn't mean anything.
Okay, so he doesn't like the name of it.
Yeah,
maybe even the name, but maybe even just the fact
that it's called masterclass, or because like if we
I don't know, you've got to ask him.
Socionics. Oh, I can't ask him.
Yeah, he's got you blocked.
But you know what? I have ways of being loud and obnoxious around internet blocks.
Look, I like the guy. He's a good guy. He's really knowledgeable. He's got a good channel. I don't think like we're not bashing.
Before we get away from this, I do want to point out that regarding the master class or whatever, that we're filling a void that really is his in my mind to some extent.
Right.
Because he's been in socionics for years. He's the gateway to Model G to the West. This has been his ball of wax for a long time, and this is something that people want. but he refuses to make content in a way that is digestible. All he wants to do is have little sit-around circles where people pay attention to him talking, and he masturbates to his own intellectualism.
No, that's not what he does, man. He likes to get experts and stuff, but I mean, you're right. It's not digestible.
Yeah,
I mean, the way he puts his content out.
I tried watching videos, and it's very, very difficult for me. And no offense to him, it's just that like I literally can't pay attention to it. It's very difficult.
Yeah, but I sort of feel like the fact that the masterclass exists is because he's dropped what would rightly have been his responsibility first. Like I don't know.
Right. Well, you know, from his perspective, he didn't drop his responsibility. He's performing it. It's just, it's just you've got to listen to the whole 4-hour session. There's that, and you have to know all of the background references that he's using.
Yeah, exactly. It's not it's accessible, user friendly, right? Yeah. You can't come in cold and learn from him. He's not teaching people. Right. He's doing what he wants to do and demanding that they sort of access it as he wants to present it.
My story of how I got blocked by Ben. All right,
you got blocked too?
This reminds me of when we all have like an alcohol problem and we get in a circle and we're like, oh, this is what happened to me. And
I thought I was the only one who's been in those. Have you been in that?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
All right,
this is what this reminds me of. This is how I got blocked by Ben. You know what I mean?
War stories.
Yeah. So basically he was talking about I can't see the tweet he tweeted because I've been blocked. But he said something regarding Socionics Masterclass being positioning as an authority and not allowing free discussion, right? And I said in response, well, there are masterclasses for lots of things out there. I think that even people who have mastered a topic still have lots of room for improvement or learning. I said many music producers have masterclasses, but they still always seek to improve their craft. So essentially, like, just because it's titled masterclass doesn't necessarily mean that it's it's the authority or that they're saying, oh, we've mastered this specific topic. It's just like,
where was he saying this? Like, where is he?
What?
Where was
the
discussion going on?
It was on Twitter.
Okay. He was telling me about it privately.
And I commented on it. And I was just saying that, you can call a class masterclass, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're saying that I'm the master and I know all. And like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's just a place where people know they can get reliable information about the topic. Right. And so, I don't know. I said that and then I got blocked. And I think, I don't know. I think that that's like one example of, how he's gone around blocking people just because they've, displayed something that's contradictory to his own viewpoint. I think this goes right back to the center of your conversation where you're pointing out here, he's blocking people because they have some usage of a word. Whereas like, it's almost like this, just because I have a problem and just because I've had shit in my history doesn't necessarily mean that I get to dictate how the world flows around me. You know what I mean? If anything, I should take time to look within my own self and see what bothers me and find out what the core issues are and why I'm so bothered by the world around me. Because sure, if you have something that you want to set out to do because you don't like how the world turns, you could try to inflict your own view on the world and see how far you get. You know what I mean? And maybe if he wants to set out on a mission to do it, maybe he can do that, right? Maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe that's his whole objective in blocking every single person who uses the word, is he doesn't want to give any attention or life to it.
Well, okay. I want to be serious on that for a second because I do think that if as a moral agent in the world, if you see something that you believe is wrong, you have some sort of duty really to address it.
Right.
And he's absolutely not doing that. In fact, he's doing the opposite. What you don't have the right to do is not address it in any productive way and then use it as an excuse to justify talking shit on people behind their back. Right. neither addressing it's not taking your own issue seriously. It does nothing to try to address it. In fact, it prevents it from being addressed. It contributes to the problem. So it's absolutely from an ethical standard. If he's trying to take an ethical high ground, it's ethically reprehensible.
Also, what I wanted to say is what's happening right here, right now, is considered like a tidal wave. It's considered like the tribe is coming out against him in some way. It's what happens when you create a void, when you go all in on the way you do things. You're creating a void. You're creating basically karma, the yin and the yang. The universe has to balance itself out, and that's what he's created this moment right now through his actions.
Yeah,
as well.
Right.
Yeah,
no, that's a good point. I mean, I think you have a solid point, Taylor, in that if you have an issue with something, if you have you want to bring discussion surrounding it, right? You want to make a solid case for why you think that, things should be done a certain way or things should be treated in a certain respect, right? And you could make a solid case for that, solid argument as to, well, I'm sensitive to this word, and I don't think it's just my sensitivity. I think this is something that we should expand outwards for very good reasoning. Okay, so what's that good reasoning? Whereas, instead, just having this distaste for the world and just, treating everyone around you based off that distaste, not fully addressing and not fully giving it attention, isn't necessarily conducive to what you believe. In fact, all it's doing is just treating other people negatively.
It doesn't take its own issue seriously. All he's doing is treating people with contempt, but doing nothing to help remedy or the problem.
I want to get to know Ben. I want to get to know Ben for a long time.
He's a cool guy, man. He's a cool guy.
And I haven't had
for me.
I don't know that I would say that he's cool.
I mean,
he's knowledgeable. He knows a lot of shit.
I have curiosities about him just from what I've seen from a distance that I'd like to ask him questions. I'm intrigued. You know what I mean? And I haven't ever gotten the opportunity to do that because someone's just decided that I'm just not worth their time, I guess.
Yeah, he's got his own thing going on. Yeah. If you don't advance his thing, then why would he spend his time on you?
Which is an incredibly selfish, narcissistic worldview.
I guess.
I mean, does he not have a right, I guess?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got a right, yeah.
To what? He's got a right. Yeah. But but at the same time, he's self-contradicting. I guess he has a right to do all this shit. But then he should know that we've all got a right to point out the huge gaping logic flaws in himself. And as a claimed TI Dom, he should be aware of these gaping voids.
I'm just wondering if someone was raped, and then you use the word rape, would there be a sort of parallel there? Could we understand it better?
Okay.
From his point of view.
I have so Katie's, my girlfriend's sister, committed suicide about 2 months ago.
Wow.
And
sorry, man.
2 days ago, I accidentally made some sort of a suicide joke, or it treated it flippantly in sort of a jokey, sarcastic way about something else, and even in the same exact manner that her sister did it too. Which, when I realized what I did,
why am I not surprised?
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be And she's, it's okay. It didn't bother me. I don't think people need to stop joking because an issue is an issue. Just because it got real to me doesn't mean it wasn't real before. And
yeah, it's pretty adult of her.
Yeah, I think it is very adult of her.
Yeah.
But to bring that back around, I don't think that having something be close to home changes the mechanics of it. Her sister didn't have to die for us to know that suicide is a real thing. It's a real problem.
That's right. Yeah.
But no amount of reverence when talking about a topic makes it go away.
I'm just picturing Ben growing up and then some kids picking on his sister all the time, calling her that word, and him always fighting and trying to defend her constantly over time.
I mean, I just don't see, from what I know about Ben's personality, he's not a defender. he's a straight runawayer.
Well, you haven't seen him with his sister, and like they were kids, and I don't know. He might still feel like he's fighting that fight to stop people from using that word because it offends his sister. It's picking on his sister.
I sort of almost.
That's what I think is happening.
I don't even know that I necessarily believe that shit. Like he might have a sister with autism, but maybe he was called retard.
No. He wasn't.
I mean, I just okay. I've never seen kids. I mean, I've never seen kids go bully. Go run up to the special class and start picking on them for being.
It's not common.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I don't know how school is like there. Maybe there was mixed classes. I don't know.
Well, is it the same?
Trying to integrate them.
I mean, because we live on opposite sides of the world.
Yeah, that's true.
And
I remember in school we had kids that were a lot older, like huge kids that were in my grade because they were held back so many times because they were mentally challenged, like really big kids. Yeah. And you would not dare calling them names.
But I mean, that's sort of my point is,
yeah,
in my experience,
and they were nice
people I know, you don't actually use the attack on people who have the affliction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't hear either one of you saying it's different there. So I don't think I don't think it's different in England.
I don't know. We can't ask Ben.
Okay, we can't ask Ben that. We have to speculate. And I think that defense of Ben's shitty behavior has been next.
Trey, your name is Damon for this whole thing, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to change it. I didn't know how.
All right.
I don't know if there's a way.
I'm trying to get Kat to come in.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? I mean, there's a few different things we're talking about here. One of which is, just how he decides to go about giving this attention. Another thing we're talking about is whether or not it's actually acceptable to use a certain word, right? And, then there's just the whole idea in general of going about doing something in the world if you feel like it's not turning the way you want it to, versus just holding that resentment inside of you and then inflicting it on other people.
Okay, I'm gonna make a banner that's got our topics. Separate those out for me again so we can start addressing them. Ben's behavior. What's 2? Ben's behavior. The word itself.
It looks like he's typing it out. He's going to organize it again.
Is Trey typing it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, yeah, I guess I think I've hit mostly everything about Ben's behavior that I want to hit, except goddamn, there's one other thing that's kind of tangential, but yeah, as an 8, I think it's particularly like revolting to me to see people being such eager victims of.
Well, he wasn't being a victim. Like, he wasn't bringing attention to it. I'm sure he was justifying it in his own head somehow as victimhood.
I mean, he must feel victimized, right?
I want to point out quickly that Ben's behavior as a topic is not in direct correspondence with the word retarded, simply because he doesn't just block you based off that word, right? He'll block you.
I agree.
Just based off of whether or not you're opposing his viewpoint. So
that's true. Yeah.
That's separate. That's a whole separate point.
So then how is he arguing with Jack from Socionics, World Socionics?
They're arguing about socionics.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess he's not beta quadra. That's the only other thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing. Everybody all 5 of us who have been banned are all beta quadra. I think he might be
vulnerable.
Fucking yeah. I was trying to. He might be prejudiced.
Oh, possibly. That's actually a decent point.
And I think he is prejudiced. I'm just gonna go ahead and y'all don't.
I guess he's very sensitive about the SI, and beta quadra are all disrespectful towards SI.
Regardless of why or how he got there, we don't know, so we probably shouldn't speculate. He can backfill in that information if he cares to, but what we do know is that he's prejudicing. What I know is he's prejudicing against betas for sure. I think he defends himself that way by
he's an alpha and he hates betas.
Beta quadra to be prejudiced against LIIs too.
Yeah. What?
I mean, yeah, because like I feel like it's not just him, but
okay, we're only talking about his prejudice. We're not talking about prejudices in general. I think that he tries to he pretends he's not by having Sana around as his token IEI, which she's not. You know, you can't. Yeah, I think she was typed, but I don't want to get into that. Yeah, so I'm going to drop that point. But he's prejudiced against betas, and if anyone saw Megan Lavota's video premiere yesterday about SE, he was down there in her comments, and he, being active. And if you go through and look at those, I mean, he's not overt, but he phrases things in a way that is clearly sort of spiteful. It's insidious, but it just shows his bias. Well,
on Thursday, he's got Megan over again on his channel with Victor Galenko. I have a schedule here. He didn't ban me yet from his schedule. He probably will if he sees this.
He didn't what?
I have a schedule here. So like he shared his schedule with me a while back. So he's got Megan back on his show on Thursday.
I don't know. I think if there's a message that I would personally want to get out from this video, is just that, like, honestly, if he really wants to prevent that word from being used, he should open it in dialogue, because this is something that LIIs or people who aren't privy to might not quite understand. But the truth is, like, if there's something that you feel shouldn't be in the world or should be a certain way in the world, I mean, you've got to, so for example, right? Like if I was raised in a background of like a deeply religious family, which this isn't actually an example for me, but if I was, and it was the religion I was exposed to was extremely harsh and treated all kinds of different individuals, based off of like whether or not they're accepted by God or et cetera, et cetera. I might be experiencing a really bad side of religion, right? The truth is, we can't necessarily take that and go, oh, well, religion should just go away altogether. Like, fuck religion, like it's bad. Like, you know what I mean? I think religion serves a place. The point is, though, if you experience something like that, what you should do is say, okay, here's how it affected me. So here's some key points about religion that we should make sure that we don't push into the future, right? So when we are religion, we should make sure to avoid these specific points of it so that we don't have these issues, right? That's taking the past, seeing how it's had negative fruit or bad outcomes, and saying, okay, here's what we should do moving forward. We should prevent these types of things from going forward. So if he feels that he's been exposed to something in the world that he doesn't like, then maybe he should bring awareness to it and say, okay, it's his duty. It's his duty as someone who's experienced the negative outcomes of the world to change them or to bring about perspective and saying, okay, here's what I've been exposed to. Here's how it didn't work out. How can we move forward in a way that we think is going to prevent these things from happening?
Yeah.
Right.
You also don't want to make isolate your adversary. Like if someone who's just like, for me, for example, I just used the word by accident and I apologized profusely, like right afterwards. I like even wrote him after, sorry. And he was like, oh, okay, it's okay. Like, I really apologize. Like, I made a mistake, sort of thing. And like, if he really wanted to change my behavior, or if he really wanted to eliminate the word from the world, sort of thing, he wouldn't treat me like that, like just ban me or block me. He would like forgive me and like, help me wean off it. Like you have a heroin addict, right? You don't just be like, oh, I don't want to talk to you anymore. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to help you stop using heroin over time, and we'll do it together. You know,
retard withdrawals.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't had retard in like 3 days.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good.
No, but like I think that if Ben came in here and he made a really solid fucking point about the use of that word and whether
Well, he wouldn't, because you just used the F word, and he doesn't want to hear that either.
Okay, so we have two conversations then, right? One about the R word, one about the F word, right? And if we created an environment or an open space, no, hold on, don't say no yet. You haven't heard what I said. If we create an open space where we could actually communicate and talk about whether or not there's a good way to go about it, or whether or not there's a way that it should be progressed in the world that's different from the way we do it now, then we could, I mean, that could be a legitimate thing that we could do. We could have a conversation about it and we could make our own points about whether or not we think that we should be dictated by the fact that he's had negative experiences, or whether or not he has a solid point and we should actually push this further, right? If that's something that we need to do, we could, right?
I feel a little bad for Taylor here.
I mean, Trey, will you stop talking so I can say no? Like, I feel like you made your point. Now you're just like walking around with it and showing it off more. Okay. No.
I feel bad for you, because you were like, you wanted to make a circus out of this whole thing, and then you got two reasonable people here.
Who rubbed who in, motherfucker? Okay, so no. At some point, like, if retard is a one-off, okay, I can see addressing that because it's a one-off. Like, let's just address this and not make it a systematic thing. But if he's got a problem with the word fuck or anything else, like, now the problem isn't the word. We don't need to validate his issue. What we need the problem is that he's a grown-ass man who expects everybody around him to be able to read his mind and know what he's sensitive to and act on it preemptively without him giving them any notice at all. So
second chances, you just get blocked.
Okay, I got another thing from his perspective. Okay,
no,
so
but
this is something that he was saying. You got a good point, but something he was saying is that you would never see in a university textbook swear words. That's what he wants to keep typology at a level where we're discussing it as academics. Like, that's sort of his idea on his channel. We're academics. And we're not going to use these words.
A lecture at a university that takes 4.5 fucking hours long because the professor can't talking about his personal silly stories.
What does that have to do with that?
I mean, he's holding it to a standard in one dimension that he doesn't uphold on the other. You'd never see a college professor do a fucking presentation where he's holding up handwritten shit. Like, this isn't college.
I've seen slides and stuff that look like that.
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's a good point, though. I like it.
I was hoping
bonus points for trying.
I wanted to get it. All right. But yeah, that's because his context is wrong.
Yeah. Well, I guess he wants his channel to be academic. He wants to invite academics on his channel.
Then he would be well served to let his guests know his standards. In fact, he's obligated to let them know. He can't uphold rules that are not communicated.
Especially if you're new, and you don't know. But I wasn't new, and he never told me the rules, but I never violated them before. I wasn't even on his show. This was like a private call between us.
That's part of
that's when I got banned too, a private call.
Okay.
Establish an organization and it has certain values and beliefs within it, then you, like any company or anything, you uphold those values within the company. You can't necessarily push it out in the world. You could try, but if it's presented that these are the rules of the organization, then you want to adhere to them. Hi, Kat.
Are you streaming this, Taylor?
It's not listed. I'm using it as a recorder, so it's unlisted stream.
She just came on and saw the title down there.
Yeah, no, I knew what was going on, but
right.
I'm a bitch is trying to eat her Chipotle, and people are fucking attacking me on Twitter, Taylor, and you're not there to defend me. I'm gonna cry.
I hate Twitter.
And Trey doesn't love me. We're stuck in this spiral of victim romance.
Did you just put a bite into your mouth mid-sentence?
I did. I'm fucking hungry. I
Are
got
you
guacamole.
your pain from being bullied on Twitter? Like, what the fat shit is happening?
I am being... Dude, everybody fucking attacks me.
Oh, wow.
Nice to meet you, by the way. I'm Kat.
Nice to meet you too, Kat.
Oh yeah, I never said it was nice to meet you. My
It
apologies.
was nice to meet you too, Trey.
Trey's rude.
That's why we're all gonna ban.
Trey like talks in circles. We've already established this.
No, I do. It's because it's mobilizing CI. I'm trying to say something, but I don't quite know what it is.
This meandering ass
In OP, we call that blast last.
So Kat, when I sent you the invite to come here, we had just started talking about Ben, and now we're just sort of wrapping it up. And I don't want to bring your fucking ass up to speed because it takes you a long time to understand things.
Wait, but I want to talk. I want to talk about the drama with you guys.
About the what?
The drama. You told me there was drama
on Twitter.
No, your drama. Fuck my drama. Who cares about my shit?
Well, you know what? That's why I sent you the message right when we started, and you were like,
Wait, do we have a full fucking quadra here?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're quadrabling.
Yeah!